Cheers, everybody. Welcome to the Fire Pit Sessions. Tonight is take 37. And the title of tonight's episode is In Memoriam. And so tonight we'll deal with I mentioned it today in my Facebook post about the unforgettable moment of the first person I was contacted by who had lost a loved one to COVID-19 and wanting me to write a poem in his memory. That took this entire book project to a new level. It was a challenge unlike any I've really faced. I've never been asked to do anything like that. So tonight's episode will be about loss. I hope that there's beauty and love and joy within it. But I hearing some of the news today, once again, it's just sounding like we're in for a pretty wild ride. And so I want to make sure that we're remembering some things and remembering some special people. So the first poem I'm going to read tonight was the first request that came to me about a lost loved one. This was from Naifeh. It was written on Monday, June 1st. The title of the poem is Ritual. The Ritual, and it's in honor of Robert N. Naifeh, Jr. Our lives, as they tend to move on, and time, as poets have said since its beginning, flows on like a turgid river. But the 29th day of March in 2020 doesn't budge. It stays stubbornly right where it was. Right where we barely got to say our goodbyes. In the required armor of the ICU that is tough to remember or forget. And now the separations from the one who left, but also the ones left behind, becomes like all unbearable griefs that must be borne nonetheless. There are the conversations with him, as well as the others. But with him now, there's more of just listening on both sides. At the same time, it often seems that the quieter the messages are, the more we listen to their intent, the more power they have to help. And so it is that time, in its ever-swelling surge toward wherever it's so compelled to keep going, encourages us to begin thinking about what he would have wanted. And we will repeat it to each other in a soft but hard-felt ritual until it becomes what we want. Thank you to Carol Naifeh for that. And once again, that was The Ritual in honor of Robert N. Naifeh, Jr. The second poem, this prompt was a little bit different. It came to me about someone. This is from Cheri, Lynn, Quattrochi, and she had lost her partner in the hospital, but before all of this began. And so she had a unique set of concerns, worries, and pains, much of it due to empathy. And so hers had a slightly different tone and a different story behind it. So this is 1,000 and more for Cheri and Quattrochi, written on Tuesday, June 9th. The loss of a loved one is one of 1,000 ways we try not to say the death. For thousands of years now, we've looked for language to help soften that blow. And 124 days feels like 1,000 in the rooms and halls of a hospital. When we're in the process of losing the one loved one, we gave myriad other days too. Looking back, we didn't realize getting to spend those final days with the loved one was a privilege. Now, losing that loved one comes with an added, incalculable loss, impossible to fathom. Not in 1,000 years will a loved one get over nor forget not being there. It is a loss within that loss that no one who's not lost it can console nor comprehend. So, those with hope of helping, put the kettle on, the casserole in the oven, and pour the tea for the loved one who is left. So, thank you. Again, that was for Cheri Lynn Quattrochi, 1,000 and more. Thank you, Cheri. I appreciate it. And so I am going to do one more short poem, but leading up to that, as I was preparing for this show tonight, I plan the themes and the readings out pretty well in advance. It's how I try to find the right song for it, try to choose the poems that go together. So I began working on these evenings well in advance. In the time since I began preparing for this one, I got word a couple of days ago that my dad had lost a very long time, dear pastor friend of his in San Antonio, Hardy Clemens, who died of COVID-19 just a few days ago. It also happens to be the very day that one of my oldest, I refer to Brian as my second oldest friend. Teddy, you were probably the first, but Brian, you're probably my second oldest friend. And Brian underwent a very complicated, very risky operation in Dallas today, and on his pulmonary artery. And I have yet to receive the news about how it went. There was no guarantee. Brian's been suffering from heart and lung conditions for a long time. And so I'm waiting to hear. And it's been quite a day. So tonight was good. These poems are good. This is a good opportunity to honor days, do things properly. I had the privilege of meeting the great Chicano author, Rudolfo Anaya, a few times over the years. I got to spend, by the way, with a class that I was helping with to teach, a wonderful evening at Rudolfo Anaya's home in Albuquerque, New Mexico. For those of you who don't know of Rudolfo Anaya, he wrote the novel Bless Me Ultima, which in the early 70s changed the very face of Chicano literature for that culture and upcoming Chicano writers and poets. There's a great debt to Rudolfo Anaya. I considered it an honor to get to meet him, spend that evening in his home with him, have a big dinner there. And it was a highlight of my academic career, to be honest with you. He died on June 28th. And so this is for Rudolfo Anaya, 1937 to 2020. It was written on Friday, July 3rd. The title of the poem is A New Ancestor. Every day he greeted the sun at its rising, inviting the 4 spirit keepers to be with him, thanking the Creator for them. The eagle out of the east flies like spring leaving the icy nest of winter's rest, soaring on the wisdom of the east wind. The wolf up from the south returns from summer's river to remind us that life rides on every last drop of water. The bear over on the west horizon, keeper of the earth and stones, stands by the cave of life's sunsets and autumns. The buffalo, white as snow, looms up from the north like a moon, honors those who went before, and foretells the return to spirit. So I want to thank you for joining me tonight in the spirit garden of the fire pit. The spirit garden, you can see our buffalo here. The buffalo is in honor of Jimmy Lefebvre. The spirit garden concept was actually in his honor as well. It was a dream that he had towards the end of his life. We lost him several years ago. About the carrying on of poetry and music performance. And he was specific about poetry and music, which is what made that very special to me. So we're in the spirit garden here tonight honoring Jimmy Lefebvre. And as well as those mentioned in the poems tonight, all these great souls. The one just done with surgery, my dad's friend. Carol, Cheri, Rudolfo, all of you. Thanks for being a part of this. I appreciate it. And so I'm going to close tonight with a song by a guy that was a good friend of Jimmy Lefebvre's, somebody I've loved for a long time, and I think he's one of the great poets of songwriting. A guy I've had the privilege of knowing a little bit off and on here through the years, and he's a wonderful man. Been very kind to my daughter, Sierra. His name is Sam Baker. And I knew immediately when I started thinking about tonight's theme and what I was going to do, there was no question as to what the song would be. And so this is Sam Baker's Waves. So many years, so many hardships, so many laughs, so many tears, so many things to remember, 'cause they had 50 years. Although the kids have got their own kids, 'cause their own kids are grown. She told him not to worry, said he'd be fine when she was gone. He walks down to the ocean, bends to touch the water, kneels to pray. Writes her name in the sand. The waves wash it away. There's seagulls circling shrimp boats, turn inside the bay. There's an emptiness inside him that never goes away. He walks down to the ocean, bends to touch the water, kneels to pray. He writes her name in the sand. The waves wash it away. So many years, so many hardships, so many laughs, so many tears, so many things he can't remember now, 'cause they had 50 years. He walks down to the ocean, bends to touch the water, kneels to pray. He writes her name in the sand. The waves, oh, they wash it away. Thanks for joining me tonight. I'm honored by your presence. I appreciate it. A hallowed and subdued toast, a cheers to everyone. We're hanging in there. If you know folks that you want to see this, I will be reposting it just as soon as we are through. After I honor the tradition of burning the poems. The fire's not really going over there, but I got a coal bed. It's going to work. And so I believe they're going to go up. This is the tradition in the Fire Pit series to burn the poems. Again, thank you for being here. Let me know where you're watching from. The comments mean a lot to me. It's so wonderful to know not only that you're with me, but where you're coming from. Maybe what you're feeling. Maybe you've had someone that you've lost. Maybe you want to share that about, what this evening was about, what's going on with you, where that's concerned. Again, an honor, and cheers to the families.